Hi, I'm Jessica Rudnicki with Reynolds and Reynolds. Welcome back to Connected. Today I'm talking with Cory Coler, Fixed Operations Product Planning Manager at Reynolds and Reynolds, about scheduling service online and why it's so important for the success of your dealership's fixed operations. Let's get connected. Hi, Cory. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks. It's great to be here. I'm happy to be able to share some tips on online appointment scheduling.
We are definitely glad to have you on to talk about scheduling service and all the nuance that goes along with it. Can you give us just a little bit of background on the different ways that dealers can load their shop?
Absolutely. There's a few different models that dealers usually use to kind of set up the appointments. The first is the everybody gets an appointment. And this is where there's really no control around what the service appointment throughput is. It's more like a lead generation sheet than an actual appointment. And sometimes it works, but a lot of times it ends up disappointing the customer because the dealership isn't able to deliver on what the consumer's expectation is. Some shops strive to do technician hour schedule, loading the shop. And really, this is difficult because the whole goal of getting a customer into the store in most cases is to sell additional work. So if you schedule every minute that a technician has available, it leaves very little time to be able to do add-on services that need to come out later on. What we find works in most cases is going through and setting up times based on your averages in the shop. Figuring out what your overall total hours are, figuring out what your hours per RO are, and then kind of work out from there what your overall car vehicle throughput should be from a daily basis. And from there, we can kind of determine, roughly how many appointments each advisor has. And that helps balance out the work throughout the day so that you're able to handle those add-on sales that you're looking to drive.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it seems like the strategy a dealership chooses for shop loading could have some impact on the shop success and on the effective labor rate and maybe even CSI. But from a customer perspective, what do dealers need to be offering in terms of online scheduling?
Right now, it's really important dealers have a way for customers to be able to schedule appointments online. Stores, in a lot of cases, are running split schedules. The advisors are overwhelmed trying to deal with the amount of work that's coming through. And even after hours becomes a really important piece. A few years ago, there was a study that said roughly 40% of the service appointments that were set after the dealership's hours. And so, that number has certainly only grown as customers, seek to have that instant response whenever they need to remember to have service appointments set up. It's also really important for whatever solution you're using to work wherever your customer's at. Being responsive, being able to show up on their mobile device properly is a really key element, because if a customer has to scroll all over the screen to try and set up the appointment, they're probably not going to use your scheduler to do it. Customers really expect that personalized experience. They want to be wowed, they want to be recognized by their name. And so having transparency around what the appointment is and what services are being performed is really one of the key areas that can help differentiate from some of the other dealerships that are out there. Other than that, if I'm the customer, I want to make sure that when I show up to the dealership, that they know what's supposed to be done on my vehicle and they know why.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, are there ways that dealerships can help provide customers with that kind of reassurance that their appointment is set and that they don't have to worry about showing up and not being in the system?
Absolutely. So from confirmation emails, text messages, reminders, phone calls, any kind of communication that we can extend out to the customer to let them know that, hey, we've heard you. We know you wanted a service appointment. We've got it on the schedule for you. We're ready for you whenever you're to come in, and whenever you're ready to have your service done and come in and have it performed. We're all set so that when the customer arrives on the drive, they know who they're looking for. Also, the dealership's going to be ready to meet whatever service need they have when they arrive.
Yeah, I'm sure that definitely, will help put them more at ease. Well, wonderful. Thank you for sharing those tips and thank you again for being here today. Before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to add or maybe any other best practices you want to share?
Really, it's differentiating yourself from everyone that's out there. If you're genuine with what you're doing, a reception process from an appointment reminder process, and keeping the customer, making them feel like they're part of an experience instead of just ticking the box and going process. I think that resonates really well. And having the right reminders and the right information that comes into the system is really key in helping differentiate yourself and win a customer for the life of their ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Cory, thanks again for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Some good information from Cory today. Before we hop off, just a quick reminder, you can watch past and future podcast episodes on YouTube and Apple or Spotify podcasts by searching for the Connected Podcast. Hit the subscribe button to get notified every Wednesday when new episodes are released. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday.